What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Retro Hoop Collectibles. Happy to be back in the mix. Last couple of weeks have been kind of hectic around the house. Bunch of craziness going on, so not posting as much as I normally do. So we're back at it like a crack addict. And today we got gem rate data for the month of May, and it's a very interesting month because even though the numbers are down, the numbers are still ridiculously high. So let's take a look at the month of May. And again, if you don't already follow, if you're into this kind of stuff and you're watching this video with some enthusiasm and you really want to keep up to date with this stuff, you're not already following gem rates. These guys, I used to pull this data, as you guys know. I used to pull it on a weekly basis, and I used to do these weekly follow-ups. Once these guys came out, there's really no reason for me to do that. They have all the information here. They break it down into 15, 20 different ways. They have great graphics. Highly recommended if you want to follow the trend of what is going on in terms of cards being graded and all that stuff. It's a great tool. So for the month of May, PSA dropped 18% in their output, but yet still managed to grade over 1 million cards, which is insane. I continue to talk about their ability to grade cards and the volume that they're putting out cards because it's insane. Like it's insane. They're down 18%, but yet still managed to grade almost 1 million cards. SGC, I think for the first time in a while, did less than 10% than PSA, but they're down 7%. CGC plus 19%, and Beckett surprisingly is up 17%, which is weird. I don't know that they're running any specials that would, kind of make that happen, which is odd. Something to point out real quick. My ADD caught this little piece here that says 42,000 for ISA grading. Does anybody know anything about ISA grading? If you guys do, leave me a comment and let me know what it's all about. But the fact that they graded 42,000 cards that's nothing to shake a stick at. It's 42,000 cards. So that's pretty good. Anyway, no idea who ISA is, so let me know. Sports. So rather than go through each one of these individually, there's a pretty good graphic that they have here. This one is probably the best piece of information that I like that Gem Rates publishes, which is the month by category, right? Big drop for almost the entire 20% drop in TCG. So I don't know if I think they were running that $15 special. No, that was for Star Wars. Which oddly enough only went up 3% for non-sports. So even though they had a Star Wars sale to where you can grade all your Star Wars stuff, I think it was $15, only bumped up 3%, which is interesting. But pretty much TCG, sports, everything down. 28% down for basketball, 25% down for hockey, 28% for miscellaneous sports, and everything else. PAX was up 28%, which really wasn't a whole lot. Actually, no, 28% up, which is the only positive they had other than non-sports for last week. But I mean, what used to be the bread and butter for what they were doing, which was in other months, half of their output was TCG. Not the case this time. They only did 400,000. I think for the first time that's dipped below that halfway mark, half of it being TCG. SGC is just down all across the mark. Be curious to get this graphic by generation, like ultra modern, retro, vintage, because I bet you SGC kind of dominates that side. But anyway, down 35% in TCG, down 11%, no, 17% basketball, 4, 9. So, I mean, not a good situation. One of the things that they said overall, the grading market was down 14% from in April versus May. Grading activity in May up 2% year over year. So this time in May they were doing 2% better. They are doing 2% better. But man, 18%, 14% in the market overall. Is that because of just economic things? On my buddy JD's podcast with the guys that Clear the Mechanism podcast, they were talking about things are getting more expensive. Like food is getting more expensive, gas is getting more expensive, clothes are getting more, everything's getting more expensive, and the money that people have now for these discretionary purchases and expenditures is starting to shrink up more and more and more. And so very interesting to see these numbers go down the way that they did. I think there was one where they had it. Here we go. Still about 47% ultra modern is what they're doing. And as you can see, SGC, big chunk of it, 1950s, earlier vintage stuff. That's kind of their bread and butter, man, honestly. Yeah, all this 2020s, 2010s. This is where the majority of their stuff is. But SGC continues to just have the majority of their stuff being vintage. They are the place to go for your vintage grading. By era, how is this different from this one? Percentage of items graded by era. Oh, gem rate by era. Oh, that's an interesting one. Yeah, that's interesting. I think we went over this one last time, but look, the bottom line is that grading is coming down. This is where we're going to start seeing a lot of things really start to unfold. Okay. There's some, rumored layoffs that are happening for PSA. So there's a lot of things going on that are going to start tightening up the belt for a lot of these services that have been experiencing these big influxes of business during the boom, that are now all of a sudden going to find themselves very operationally heavy and potentially have to lay some people off, which is not always a good thing. But in my opinion, that's not really different than any other industry that ramped up during the pandemic that is now laying people off left and right. So I, for one, just to kind of tie this back into me personally as a collector, I have a stack right here that I've been sitting on for a while now, that I've been wanting to get graded, including a couple of cards that I picked up at the Houston, the H-Town card show, that I'm kind of holding off on. Mainly because I'm going to send them to SGC, and SGC is still $20 a card, $18 if I go through a group submitter. That's still a lot in my opinion. It's not that it's a lot for the service. It's a lot for me to spend, right? Because right here in this stack, I got about a dozen cards. So, I have to think about that, right? I have to think about, do I want to spend the $250 to go get this stuff graded, or do I want to spend those $250, maybe picking up more cards, maybe picking up some PC stuff, maybe picking up some vintage stuff. I'm getting into F1 stuff a lot now, which I'll be doing some more content on coming soon. But there's just a lot to think about when it comes to grading cards in this economic environment. During this downtime in the market where cards aren't fetching as much as they were 18 months ago, and you really have to be picky about what you're sending in. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. As always, I always appreciate you guys' inputs. Do me a favor. Head on over to JD's channel. I'll link the description. I'll link it down below. I'll link his channel down below. Him and the guys just did a podcast strictly on grading. It was a great podcast. They talked about a lot of great stuff, and a lot of good insight there. If you guys are interested in that, so I'll link everything below so you guys can go check them out, and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, we'll catch you guys on the next video. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Peace.